Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, I figured I'd use this episode to dive into the whole A-Rod situation. Again, did a guest spot on the Tiki and Evan show. I'm not sure if it's Evan and Tiki, but nevertheless kind of shuffled those guys around on the fan and kind of made some comments that he's kind of surprised that the Yankee organization hasn't yet retired his number 13, almost in a way feeling like entitled to it, like they should retire his number there. So going to dive into that whole thing. And he does have a point there, but of course, there's obviously things around A-Rod, which you can understand why the organization wouldn't look to retire his number 13 there. So to kind of dive into the whole issue, give my take on it. I'll give the A-Rod argument, I'll give the Yankee argument, and I'll kind of give my prediction what the organization will probably ultimately do. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So whether it's your first time, second time, or you've heard all the podcast episodes, for some reason you refuse to subscribe, make a change today. Make sure you subscribe. Got a long off season ahead of us. A lot of stuff like this, do a little my takes on different Yankee news stories, as well as a little Yankee history, and of course there's going to be a lot of off season transactions, hopefully, as the Yankees look to improve this team. And of course some a little Yankee history, as well as some Yankee Stadium stories, maybe a crazy story about somebody throwing mustard or something that you'll find entertaining. So a whole package of good stuff for you. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there and get notified when these new episodes come up. Plus, in addition to that, make sure you hop over to the YouTube channel. Again, there's more Section 420 Talkin Yankees stuff over there that you may not get here, and vice versa. So you want to make sure you cover all the bases. Go to Section 420 Talkin Yankees there on YouTube. Type it, search it, follow it, like it, subscribe it, all the good stuff there. So we'll bounce back here. So Alex Rodriguez, as you may have heard, doing a guest spot on the Tiki and Evan show. Kind of shuffled them around there. It was Tiki and Tyranny in the morning, I guess, and then they moved Tiki and with Evan to 2 o'clock there because Craig Carton bolted to go to Fox Sports there, so a little shuffling of the guards, and I guess they had A-Rod coming in. And again, A-Rod on the Fox pregame team there with Jeter and Ortiz there during the American League Championship Series. And I guess they wanted, good time to bring A-Rod on, as a guest spot there. And of course, he made the remark that he was kind of surprised that the Yankee organization hasn't yet retired his number 13. And again, the way it did it kind of rub people the wrong way, almost like he's entitled and they should be retiring his number 13 there. So I'm going to kind of dive into the whole situation there. And a lot of that has to do with it's almost the Yankees organization's fault. I think that they've been a little soft on retiring these numbers. You can understand the people like Jeter and Mariano Rivera, for example. Of course, they warrant it. But then there's been some soft ones afterwards. Possibly maybe with Andy Pettit's number 46, as well as I understand Andy Pettit was there for all the championship runs and then came back for the 5th championship in 2009 there. So at least warrants it to a degree there. But you could almost say, though, he's a very, very, very good pitcher. Was he a great player where you would say you have to retire his number? You could almost make the argument either way with that one. So you see with the Pettit one, the Posada one even. And again, Posada spent 17 years with the Yankees. And again, was there for all the 5 championships. So you can at least understand that to a degree. But I think the one that maybe perhaps rubbed people the wrong way was the most recent one with O'Neill. Not to say rubbed the wrong way, but it's like really, O'Neill, as much as, again, loved him, great. And he was there at the genesis of the Tory Yankee dynasty there. A lot of great moments. And again, one of the most liked Yankees there. But, he only spent 9 years in pinstripes, and you're going to retire his number just for 9 years. And again, it was a great run there, and you look at 5 World Series visits, 4 rings, so you can at least understand the argument. And again, he was the cornerstone. He was usually the number 3 hitter during that whole time there, so he was the cornerstone for a lot of that. But still, if you look at his numbers overall, he's not a Hall of Famer or anything like that, and had some good years. And again, he won the batting title for the Yankees in '94, but not like he put in like MVP years and stuff like that, like A-Rod did. So again, you can understand why A-Rod would say, well, look, you retired those numbers. Why don't you retire mine? And look, A-Rod, if you just want to look at the numbers itself, he definitely has an argument there. First of all, he spent 12 years in pinstripes, which is more than O'Neill. And if you just look at his numbers, it's just not even close. Offensively, this blows away both O'Neill and Posada. It's not even closer. Again, A-Rod won 2 MVPs as a New York Yankee. Again, 2 MVPs as a New York Yankee. O'Neill and Posada not even close for that. So you can understand why you would make that argument. And just look at all the stats. All the hits, the home runs. More than double the amount of home runs that O'Neill hit. And even though he spent 5 years less as a Yankee than Posada, almost had like 80 more home runs than Posada there. So did a lot in the Yankee uniform there. So if you wanted to go by the numbers, you could understand why A-Rod would make that argument. Plus, the New York Yankee organization never drew 4 million people to Yankee Stadium until A-Rod put on a Yankee uniform. So, he put a lot of fannies in the seats. And if you look at the television ratings as well, A-Rod was a draw. He was just one of those guys, you're flipping through the channel, or, you're watching the game, or you're flipping off, but you would watch that A-Rod at bat because it's just the chance he might hit a home run. So, he was a remote dropper in that point, and just in terms of getting other fans to want to watch the game. I mean, when A-Rod was there, that surely intensified the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. Again, that drew up a lot of TV revenue just across the country there. So, A-Rod with his numbers, A-Rod drawing fans, A-Rod being what should be a Hall of Fame player. Now, again, you kind of have to put a little asterisk there. We know it's the whole PED allegation thing, which is going to hurt him. But let's just say you're just talking about the numbers. I mean, he is a Hall of Famer. He spent, again, most of his career out of the 22 years. I mean, 12 of those were with the New York Yankees. That's more than Seattle, more in Texas. So you could see all those reasons why he would feel that, hey, why are you not retiring my number 13? And if you want to look at the 2009 World Series there for the Yankees, look, he carried the team. I've said it a million times on this podcast as well as on the YouTube channel and everywhere else. I mean, without A-Rod, and not just because he was there and being a great player, but just big clutch home runs. I mean, you want to look at Game 2 against the Minnesota Twins there. Again, the Yankees down 2-0 in the ninth inning. Hits a big 2-run home run there to tie that game, and the Yankees would eventually go on to win in extra innings and win that series. And then you look at the Game 2 against the Anaheim Angels. Again, the Yankees were down like 3-1. It was that ninth inning. I forgot the name of that lefty reliever of the Angels, but again, A-Rod with that little bloop home run just right over the right field wall, the opposite field there, ties the game, and the Yankees go on to win in extra innings in that game, go 2-0 up on the Angels, and then eventually finish off the Angels and move on to the World Series there. And, in the World Series, again, A-Rod, he did have that one home run. I believe it was Game 4, I think, when he hit the camera there. I think the Yankees were down 2-0. They're like 3-0. He hit like a 2-run home run to get them back in the game. And then eventually, of course, we know the Yankees knocked off the Phillies there. So, again, he didn't really have any big prevalent home runs in the actual Phillies World Series there, but leading up to it, you couldn't ask for two bigger clutch home runs there for A-Rod. So, again, that 2009 World Series, you got to put that on. That was all, A-Rod put the team on his shoulders and took the Yankees there. So now, if you want to take the Yankee organization argument for it, you can understand why they would not be a little reluctant. Number one, Paul O'Neill, yes, even though you could say it's a soft retiring number, but, it's not like they gave it to O'Neill right away. I mean, O'Neill had to wait almost like 20 years after he retired. And I think a lot of that has to do with that because he's around the team. He's in the yes booth, so he's kind of still a character around. So I think that was a bit of a throw in. Let's just say O'Neill wasn't doing the broadcasting, then maybe less likely they would have retired his number. I just think that he was just such around the team so much. It's almost like, in a way, you kind of have to, especially if you keep bringing him back for all these, 25-year reunions and Old Timers Day and all this other stuff. At least understand why the Yankee front office would do it. As for A-Rod, again, all right, he's been obviously retired in 2016, but, it's been less than 10 years. So, if O'Neill can wait 20 years, it's not crazy for A-Rod to be waiting maybe a dozen years or maybe 13 years or maybe 14 years. So I don't see why the big rush for that. And number two, and I think the Yankees organization is just a little trepidatious right now because I think they view him similar to how the baseball writers of America view him and not voting him into the Hall of Fame the traditional way. And you have all the PED allegation stuff. You have this Mitchell report where supposedly he failed the 2003 random drug test, and of course all the biogenesis stuff from 2013 to 2014, which I kind of mentioned on a previous podcast episode, that whole breakdown. And I just think with all that baggage, as well as this A-Rod's personality overall, and I just think it just rubs the writers the wrong way. And I think the same thing with the Yankee organization. I just think they were looking to distance themselves from him to a certain degree. So I just don't think they're going to be in a rush to do it. As for the Hall of Fame, I just don't think he'll ever get in the normal way. And now he might get in with the contemporary group now that votes players in like 20, 30 years later. So, maybe at some point when A-Rod's all old and hunched over and bald, maybe at that point they'll finally put him to the Hall of Fame. But the Yankee organization, I just still think it's a toss-up. Now, should they retire the number 13? I think they should. They should just get it out of the way because this is going to be an albatross around the team's neck for a while because, if you have a plan on bringing A-Rod back for like a 2009 reunion, or if you ever want to have him like throw out a first pitch or be part of Old Timers Day, have some sort of get-together, it's kind of awkward having him in there, bring him in for those events, but you don't want to retire his number 13. So, at this point, I think you might as well just get it out of the way. I mean, they gave it once to Joey Gallo, a couple of seasons ago. Other than that, it's not like the Yankees have really been free willy and giving out the 13 all over the place. So it seems like the Yankees only in certain situations would give it out. So if that's the case, it seems like they're keeping it in the back pocket. So, why drag it out? I always say just get rid of it. Have the number 13 for A-Rod Day. It's one day at the stadium. He gets his little applause. He gets his little plaque, and they retire the number, and that's it. And then you don't have to talk about it anymore versus having it linger on for, who knows, another 5-10 years. Because, again, it's going to be awkward if this Yankee organization at some point ever wants to bring him back. Now, that's what they should do. Will they do that? Probably not, because I just think the Yankee organization, the front office, is still peeved at A-Rod. You hear a lot of little stories and rumors that despite the revenue and the amount of jerseys that A-Rod sold for the Yankee organization, they never feel they got really their money's worth with the big contract. You remember he opted out of the deal in 2007. Now, he was willing to walk away, and Cashman was willing to let him walk away. And, of course, Hank Steinbrenner, behind the scenes with A-Rod, worked out a deal to bring him back, and he signed that mega contract that made him the Yankee for the rest of his career. Now, again, that contract has turned out bad because I just don't think they ever thought they got the value for that contract with them. Okay, you got the 2009 World Series, but you got all those other years that were lost for the Yankees. Of course, the 2004 one, because they blew the 3-0 lead to Boston there. And then from after that, you had just a lot of lost seasons where, the Yankees got old, and of course the Core 4 got old, and you had seasons like 2013, 2014. Of course, they were not there because of the PED stuff, where they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs in 2016, and that's when they basically told A-Rod, all right, take the rest of your money and just go home. You can't play baseball anymore. You stink. So the Yankee organization probably felt they lost a lot of money with that deal, and of course, paying him all that money kind of froze up money from them wanting to go after him and pursue other players there. So I think they hold that grudge against A-Rod a little bit. And of course, they hold the grudge that get involved in this whole biogenesis thing. They basically tried to use that to cancel out the rest of his contracts and have to pay the guy. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know about what they feel about him. So I don't think the Yankee organization is very high on A-Rod. So with that being said, they probably don't retire his number 13, or they don't retire it anytime soon, because I think they still have that bad taste in his mouth. And maybe if they offer it to A-Rod, if after like 20 years, A-Rod may say, hey, you know what? You're making me wait so long for this. Just shove it. Keep your number 13. I don't want it. I don't care. I want nothing to do with you. Now, I don't think he totally closes the door on that, because, again, A-Rod, what we want to say about him, he does seem to love the game. I think he likes the history. I like the fact that he was part of the Yankees for all those years. And, again, he was part of the 2009 World Series team there. So if you ever want to have like a 25-year reunion with that group, well, you can't have that group back without A-Rod, who was the backbone of the whole thing, at least offensively, during the postseason there. So that's why I think they should just get it over with, retire the number, and then just put this whole thing to bed so you have to think about it. But I could see the Yankee organization likely to be stubborn, not do that anytime soon, and maybe like O'Neill, it'll be a situation where he has to wait like 20 years before they finally do that. But this all goes back to the Yankee organization kind of being very loosey-goosey with retiring Pettit, Posada, and O'Neill. Those are three where you probably should not have retired those. Of the three, maybe you could make it the case for Pettit just because it's different with a pitcher there, and again, it won a lot of big postseason games there. And Posada, okay, great Yankees, around for 17 years, very good catcher. You look back, maybe top 5 Yankee catchers of all time. Possibly, maybe, just if you look at his numbers offensively. Again, part of those 5 world championships, that means a lot. So you can understand why, at least that. But the O'Neill one, I think, is why it really opens this door where it's like, you look at O'Neill's numbers, you look at A-Rod's numbers, it's not even close. Now, A-Rod's only part of 1 championship versus O'Neill's 4, but the easiest thing to do is retire the 13 and just take this conversation off the table. And it's the fact the Yankees, again, haven't really given this out a lot, the 13 out a lot. It means that they are kind of holding it. And they did this with Pettit's 46. There was a play, I forgot, some guy they bought, I forgot, it was like a Kansas City Royal. He had it one time, and I believe LaTroy Hawkins, they gave O'Neill's 21 to LaTroy Hawkins one time after that, and then after that they didn't do it anymore. So when they keep the number in the back pocket and don't give it out too much, it kind of seems they are kind of planning to retire. So they probably will at some point, but they're going to probably make A-Rod wait, just kind of as a little punishment. So that's my take on that. So that's the episode, Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. We'll catch you next time.